We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. Hope you have your cup of coffee. I sure do. Got my coffee. If you don't have a mug to drink your coffee in, down below on YouTube there, I've got my Teespring store, and you can buy yourself a Come On Man mug. I have mine on order. They should be here, I don't know, next week or so. Teespring's kind of weird about that. They're not very fast at printing, it seems, but yeah, is what it is. If you are watching on Facebook, smash that like button, and then head on over here to YouTube. Head on over. There we go. All right. Otherwise, YouTube master race. we're gonna keep this on YouTube for the most part. If you're watching on Twitter, head on over to YouTube. Hit that like button and head on over to YouTube. It helps us out. Before I get too far into the show, I want to remind you guys that I have these live streams every Wednesday and Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. But if you can't make it, that's what the replays are for. Jesus, I need more coffee. It's a problem with these early morning things. Like I'm literally just getting up at like 7:30, and I'm like rushing to get in here to do the show because I am not a morning person. Before we get too far into this, I'm going to start with some housekeeping. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit those notifications. Drop a comment. Any comment will do. Your favorite emoji. If you are watching the live stream right now, participate in the class, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen. But all that kind of stuff, just, your engagement helps with the algorithm. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. I'm on all the good ones and the bad ones. The links are in the description for these. I have a new TikTok account. If you haven't heard, it's at Best Men's Pod, because my original account, which I'm still posting to, it's just completely shadow banned. If you go to my original account and my new account, the same videos are getting way more engagement on my new account. It's pretty fascinating. If you go in the analytics, you can actually see that my videos on my new account are actually getting pushed out to the For You page. Be sure to support the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. You can join for as little as $10. And then for that, at the end of Monday's episodes, that's like my flagship, I guess. You get added to the beer credits, plus you get all of those episodes ad free. So just the interview portion, none of this intro stuff where I'm talking about Patreon. And then also for the entire month of February, I am giving everybody in my Patreon a half off coupon for my Law of Attraction course. You can go to the Law of Attraction course, loa.comeonmanpod.com. It's chick crack free. I've talked about it already. In fact, I think it was like 2 weeks ago on Friday, I did a live stream on really what it's about. So if you've been curious about it and you want to know more without paying any more money, go watch that live stream. I break it down pretty well. It's basically a mindset course, and it'll teach you how to reprogram your subconscious mind so that you can achieve goals. A lot of people, our minds are holding us back, right? We have this thing called a paradigm that holds us back. And you can reprogram that. You can actually convince yourself that you can achieve certain things, and you will achieve them. It's pretty fascinating process. But if you want it for half off, join the Patreon for as little as $10. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. Get on the email list, and then I'll send you some of these free stickers here for your troubles. Largely, I'm building up the email list so that I can keep people informed of if I get deplatformed, because I've been deplatformed before. My original TikTok account was completely banned. So that took me forever to build up my last TikTok account, which is now shadow banned. So I just actually sent out an email blast to the people that are signed up for this, letting them know, hey, I've got a new TikTok account. So worked as planned. And also, if you're on the list already and you didn't get that email, DM me on Instagram. Let me know, because I'm using MailChimp to keep track of that. And I think it's going to a lot of people's spam folders, which is annoying as hell. So another way that you can support the show is during these live streams. You can send a super chat. If you have a question, you can send a super chat for as little as $1, I think. But that helps the show as well. That keeps us going. All right. We already said that. We don't want rule 0 today. Let's see here. I need more coffee. There we go. Hashtag Come On Man Podcast. That's what I was looking for. All right. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, I'm going to play a quick commercial for my Law of Attraction course, and then we'll get into this. For the alpha bros out there, do you want a positively unfair advantage in life? Most people tiptoe through life hoping they'll make it safely to death. They let life happen to them. Up until now, I'm assuming that's been your situation. Am I right about that? But you know deep down that you're destined for more. You know that you deserve more money or better relationships. Yet you're stuck doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results. That ends today, because you're going to check out my Practical Law of Attraction course. My Practical Law of Attraction course will give you the tools necessary to write your own story. You will be in the driver's seat of your life, not just the passenger. Your life is already getting better because you're listening to this message right now. Access this course at loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. When you're done with this course, the results that you see for yourself will be better. Others will see how your life is changing for the better. And you'll know that everything in this course is true because your life will be better. But the choice is up to you. You have to decide if you want to stay where you are or achieve goals so big that it will blow your mind. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So what are you waiting for? Act now. That's right, guys. Take some action. Get on the Patreon and get 50% off the Law of Attraction course for the month of February only. Oh, good day. My coffee is delicious. Thanks for asking. All right. So we're going to be talking about alpha and beta traits today. It's so funny. What got me thinking about this is I've been reading this book, right? This is a classic, The Married Man's Sex Life Primer, 2011 by Athol Kay. It's actually in the sidebar of the Married Red Pill on Reddit. It's one of the recommended reading items, so I thought I'd pick that up. And it's funny because I was on the Sarah Dawn Moore show a couple of weeks ago. I was on her first live stream. She wanted to test out live streams, so she brought me on. And one of the comments from one of her people came up about like alpha and beta or whatever, and she was saying how one of the problems she sees with like the manosphere, men's podcasts, is that there's an overemphasis on alpha. And so I sort of broke it down like, well, yeah, that's because men like sex, right? Like women are sexually attracted to alpha traits, right? But I wanted to break that down, right? Because if you want like a long-term relationship, you do need to have some beta traits. So having certain beta traits, there are attractive beta traits. And you need those if you want a long-term relationship. Like if your goal is not to have a long-term relationship, then you don't need to know so much about the beta trait stuff. But and then I think that's why there is an overemphasis on alphas, because dudes are horny. Dudes want to know how they can get laid, right? How do I get my wife to fuck me, right? Oh shit, am I okay? I'm past the 8-minute mark. I should be okay. Okay, Jack, you're about to get banned, bro. You're about to get banned for that outburst. How dare you, sir? All right, before I get too far into alpha and beta traits, I know there's going to be some spurg in the comments that's going to talk about the goddamn wolf study. Oh, I'm not going to wrench you for that outburst, Jack. You don't get a wrench, sir. You're going to have to redeem yourself. I can't believe you. Can't believe you. Anyways, there's going to be some spurg talking about the goddamn wolf study. So before you get, before you step on your dick with the wolf study, just stop. Okay. It's retarded. It's retarded. The wolf study does not apply to humans. Okay. You can clearly see it all around us. All right. There are things that women respond to. There's a reason why women want to bang certain guys. Okay. It's because they have alpha traits. Okay. You know in your heart of hearts that you could tell when a guy has dominant masculine presence, and a guy like that typically has a lot of alpha traits. And you also know when a guy's being a cowardly little bitch, like making snide comments about guys who run. Okay. That's that's an example. All right. So yeah, the wolf study doesn't apply to humans. It's ridiculous. So people that say, oh, there's no such thing as alpha and beta, it's been disproven. No, it hasn't. No, it absolutely hasn't. All right. So now a lot of what dictates how we feel love, right, largely depends on hormones. And that's one of the things that I've learned from this book here. And you can break down alpha and beta into what hormonal response that you give to a woman. So again, it's the Married Man Sex Life Primer by Athol Kay. But he breaks it down very well. And Jack already spoiled it down here in the comments, right? But alpha essentially equals attraction, excitement. That's dopamine. That's initiating a dopamine response in her, right? Whereas beta, we'll get to that, but dopamine, that's what gets her panties wet. You know what I mean? That gets her excited. You can create that in a woman with a lot of positive emotional tension. When we talk about, in the dating coach scene, we talk about, not texting so much, being a mystery, that kind of stuff gets her anxiety up in a good way. It's a positive response. That's her dopamine in action, right? That's what gets her really thinking about you, in a sexual way. Then we have beta, right? Beta equals comfort, which equals oxytocin. That initiates the oxytocin response. Men feel it based on vasopressin. We get that comfort love response from vasopressin. So like when my girl makes me a delicious dinner and then serves it to me, I'm feeling vasopressin for her at that moment. Okay, this guy is an imposter. Block that guy. Who comes on someone else's show and in the live chat as the person that's hosting the show? Like, dude, you're not me. Get the hell out of here. I might actually have to. So anyway, yeah. So it's funny. Athol Kay in the book, he talks about how when a woman says something like, "How I'm in love with you," or "I love you, but I'm not in love with you," right? It means I oxytocin you, but I don't dopamine you. It's kind of a funny way of looking at it. But oxytocin, right? So I said like dopamine gets her panties wet. Oxytocin gives her the warm and fuzzies, gives her that warm and fuzzy feeling. Doesn't make her want to bang you, but it does make her love you, like I don't know, more of a caring comfort type love, right? And a lot of it is how you make her feel in the moment. Okay, this is completely off topic, but I'll answer this. What's DD 214? Well, these are the papers you get when you leave the military. It means I'm a veteran. That's what that means. All right, back on topic. So a lot of this stuff is how you make her feel in the moment, right? So hypergamy is actually looking for both, right? There's a lot of guys in the space. They really do emphasize being an alpha, alpha bro. Like there's books on it, right? Unplugged Alpha, Rich Cooper's book. Great book, by the way. Not to shit on what Rich is doing. I'm actually a huge fan of Rich, but there is a huge emphasis on being alpha. If you read Corey Wade's book, he talks a lot about being a masculine alpha guy. But you get later in his book, which I'll get to later in his book, he's talking about long-term relationships. Those are beta traits that he's talking about that you need in a long-term relationship. But yeah, hypergamy is actually looking for both, right? Alpha seed, beta need. Right? A lot of people they hear that and they think that it's a good or a bad thing, right? You're either alpha and you're banging, or you're a beta and she's using you, and sometimes that's true. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes there's these bad boys that have no interest in long-term relationships. Guys like Jack that say hit the like button, which you absolutely should do if you haven't done it already. And Jack's a total alpha, right? Just he wants to spin them plates, not necessarily looking for anything long term, Then yeah, alpha's great. But if you want something long term, you need a little bit of that beta side. So if a girl gets with a guy who's an alpha, right? And she's just not getting that emotional comfort support from him, she'll get it from some other guy, usually one of her beta male orbiters, someone like Moose, a beta male orbiter like Moose, who just hangs around the Rule Zero channels to shit in the comments. That's beta behavior. And if she's stuck with a beta, she's going to seek sexual stimulation from an alpha type guy. Right? So, but if you can provide both of those for her, she's less likely to seek it outside of that relationship. I did say she won't. I said it's less likely, right? So, I've mentioned this before. There's an overemphasis on alpha in the manosphere. And that's great. That's great. But like I said before, it really depends on what your goals are, right? If your goals are to spin plates and just be casual and just have hookups, then you absolutely want to maximize those alpha traits. You absolutely want to figure those out, learn them, how to make them you, and apply them, because that will get you more of this casual sex, right? But if your goal is an LTR or a wife, although I have no idea why you would want to get the government involved in your relationship. It's just a bad idea, but if that's what you want, then that's what you want. I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm just going to tell you why you shouldn't, and then do with that information what you will. But you're going to need some of these beta traits as well, right? So some of these are, you've got to be a good listener. You've got to be a good active listener. You've got to be able to take care of things around the house. You've got to give her a break from the kids every now and then, right? Because taking care of kids is so hard. Most parenting these days involves giving your kid one of these and some video games and telling them to shut the fuck up, right? That's parenting these days. That's so difficult. That stresses women out. You've got to be able to change some diapers, Gotta be able to change some diapers, right? These are actually all positive beta male traits that I'm giving you here. None of these are bad, right? If you change your kids' diapers, that's actually a good thing. You should be doing that. Uh, Now, just be sure that you're doing it because it needs to get done, not because you're trying to get something from her. Okay. That's where you get into covert contracts, negotiating desire type stuff. Like, oh, if I just do the dishes more, maybe she'll put out more. Like that's not how that works. That's not how that works. But do the dishes because there you see that the dish the sink is full, you know. Do that for that reason. You know that your wife can't get to it, so that has to get done. Just do it anyway, right? But not because you're trying to get some punani from her. You know, that's just terrible way of going. That's one of the reasons why the love languages is such a terrible book. You know, it's so mainstream, but it's so terrible because it really encourages that sort of thing. Um, you can still do this stuff. You can still do these beta traits that she will like, that will give her that oxytocin response, uh, while setting the tone and leading, right? So, for example, and it's actually he gives it in this book too, right? I want to give credit where credit's due here. But one of the examples he gives is when you wrangle the kids up and make them set the table for dinner so that your wife doesn't have to do it, right? That's setting the table and taking care of the kids and getting your kids to do something. That's sort of beta behavior, right? But because you're taking the lead and you're having your kids do it to take that burden off your wife, that's positive beta behavior, but you're still leading, right? You're leading the family that way. So that's an example of how you can do that while still setting the tone, right? Like women actually kind of like when their husbands have that booming dad voice to put the kids in their place, you know? That's still, you're taking care of the kids, but you're still leading. You know what I mean? Yo, Glenn, what's up, brother? Guys, support the show. If you have a question, send a super chat. Now, if you don't want to end up in a dead bedroom and Googling on, ways to get your wife to bang you again, right? Or looking up on YouTube, how do I get my wife to have sex with me again, right? If you don't want to end up there, then you have to, your alpha setting, your alpha personality has to be your default setting, right? So I wanted to quote, as Jack says, our Lord and Savior Rollo Tomasi. In his latest book, The Player's Handbook, he has 49 maxims of game, if you didn't know. But yeah, if you didn't know that, go to my YouTube channel, and I have a what's it called, a list or whatever, a series on the 49 maxims of game. I made it for as shorts, but I took all the 49 maxims from Rollo's book and I made little videos about them. So go check those out after this. But game maxim 12 is that alpha must be your predominant character. There is no beta with a side of alpha. Okay. So remember, dopamine, which we've established earlier, alpha equals excitement, attractiveness. That's dopamine response, right? So dopamine gets her panties wet. You want to be her dopamine dealer. You want to be her dopamine drug dealer, which is also another one of Rollo's maxims in that book too. Although he talks about it as women crave indignation, and that indignation basically creates that dopamine response too. And so you want to be her dopamine drug dealer. That's that's what it comes down to. Because if you could be her dopamine drug dealer, she's going to be addicted to you. So alpha has to be your default character at all times. If beta is your default character, she's not really going to be sexually attracted to you. She might put out occasionally, but she's not going to want to put out. You know what I mean? You can't be like super beta all the time and then occasionally sprinkle a little alpha on it. It just doesn't work that way. I think that's pretty much how I was in my marriage. And it's one of the reasons why my marriage failed, I think, is that I was usually like deferring to her, decision making. I wanted to make her happy, that kind of thing. And then like when I would get mad, like I would just like lose my shit, right? So that was like me trying to sprinkle a little alpha on it. Like that, if you do that, she'll have no respect for you. She'll see your beta behavior as your primary behavior, and that's how she'll see you, right? So that's why your alpha needs to be your default, because she'll see you as an alpha, even if you have some of these attractive beta traits. She'll still see you as this alpha person that blows her skirt up. All right, so let's talk a little bit, man. This might be and I say this every episode too. This might be a short episode. It might actually be, because there's not really much else to say about this, unless you guys want to chime in a little bit more. Oh, here we go. This is actually a pretty good. Let's stop here and look at some of these chats. So, controversial opinion: being a good lover is beta behavior. Yeah, it kind of makes sense, because, like Ryan says here, getting your girl to orgasm and good aftercare are beta behaviors. Yeah. Like alpha guys, they're trying to get theirs, right? They're just going in there to hit it. They're not trying to, they don't care if she orgasms or not, right? But it's actually really benefits you to learn how to make her orgasm, because she's going to come back for more. Women come back for that good dick, right? Great book for that. If you guys need some help in that department, is Unleash Your Sexual Superpowers by Eric Eberhard, right? He's another, porn star in this space, turned author. I had him on the podcast last year. Great dude. He and I still stay in contact too. It's funny because every once in a while he'll send me a book recommendation, and I'm just like, man, never in my life did I think that I was going to be getting book recommendations from former porn stars, but here I am. But no, Eric's a great dude, and his book is amazing too. He talks about how women can fake orgasms, right? We all know this. Like, women can fake orgasms, but what they can't fake is their clitoris being aroused, because a clitoris actually will get erect, very much like a penis does, right? So if you're going down on your girl and you're focused in on her clitoris, like you could feel it. You could feel it like a little bean, and you can tell if it's stiff or if it's not. If it's not, it means you're not ringing her bell. She's not really into it. But if it is, then you're doing a good job. What about Sterling Cooper? Yeah, I've actually had Sterling on the podcast too. Sterling's a good dude. He's a member of the Rule Zero panel. He just doesn't come on the shows as often because he's a busy guy. But yeah, Sterling's a good dude too. But Sterling doesn't give me any book recommendations like Eric does. So. All right. Let's see here. What's this? Especially if you're into the BDSM scene. What do you mean by that? Anyways, so let's get into some of these alpha traits. Now that we're almost 30 minutes in. If we could at least do 30 minutes, I'll be happy. So let's talk about some alpha traits, right? Alpha traits, because a lot of people ask, what are some alpha traits? Oh, okay. Thanks, Lewis. Okay. Yeah. Aftercare is needed in the BDSM scene. Yeah. Is it though? Is it? Oh. Okay. All right. So alpha traits. Whenever I talk about, you have to have alpha traits in order to get your wife to want to have sex with you, right? She might make herself have sex with you, but if you want her to want to have sex with you, right? The genuine desire that everyone's talking about, you have to have alpha traits. And so people often ask, what even what are alpha traits? So one is confidence. Being confident is an alpha trait, right? Dr. Robert Glover talks about confidence. He says, confidence to women gives them the same buzz in their head that seeing boobs does for men, right? If you are confident when you walk up to women, the way you talk to women, it gives them that same emotional buzz that seeing tits does for guys. Another alpha trait is assertiveness and decisiveness, right? Um, if you're very decisive, that turns women on, right? And I often give this as like a great example. Uh, so many guys get into the goddamn "where are we going to eat" argument with their girls, and then they get so frustrated with their girl because their girl doesn't know how to pick where she wants to eat. She doesn't even know where she wants to eat, right? Well, I mean, the reason for that is women want us to be decisive. So instead of asking your girl, "Hey, where do you want to eat?" Or the other lame ass thing that I hear is guys say, "Oh, well, here's how you deal with that. You say, "Hey, guess where I'm taking you to eat?" And then the first place that she guesses, well, just take her there. That's being passive. Okay. That's beta behavior. It's not attractive. But being decisive is when you say, you don't ask her where she wants to eat. You say, "Honey, grab your shoes. We're going to get steak tonight." That's being decisive. Chicks are like, "Okay, yeah." Ever since I started doing that, a lot of guys are so worried that their girl's gonna like, push back on that or argue with them. I've never had a problem with that, right? Ever since I started applying that, all I've ever heard from women are, "Okay, yeah, that sounds good." I haven't even gotten into an argument with it. Now, I will say that nurse chick, my girlfriend, knows that I do that. And so if there's something that she really has her heart set on, she'll suggest it now. She'll say, "Hey, let's go to this place or something tonight." Or, "Hey, I'm going to cook this tonight." Perfect. Right? No arguments. We've never argued about any of that stuff. So just try that out. Be more decisive and try it on the fucking dinner debate. Okay. Try it there and then see where it leads you. You'll be much happier. Assertiveness. That's something I need to work on when it comes to rule zero. Rolo gives me shit about it, right? Like I need to talk over the other panelists more. I like it's funny if you guys watch Rule Zero. I go to try to chime in sometimes, and other guys chime in, but I sort of have that social calibration where I know that they spoke first, so I want them to finish their thought, right? So I don't like to talk over people on the show. Plus, I know that as an audience member, someone who's been following the show, when everyone's talking at once, you can't fucking hear anything, so it's annoying. So I like to let the other panelists talk, but Rolo's like, "Dude, just fucking talk over me." Like, fine, all right, be more assertive. Got it. Strong leadership abilities, being able to lead, right? And there's a difference between someone who's a leader and someone who's just being bossy. You know what I mean? A good leader doesn't really, I learned this in the military. A good leader doesn't really ask people to do anything that they're not willing to do themselves. Right. But that doesn't mean that you don't still delegate it out. It just means you never ask people to do something you're not willing to do. So, oh, how did Paul get in Rule Zero? He's not as big as the other guys. Actually, go back. I did a live stream about that. I used the law of attraction. Use the law of attraction on that, guys. And if you want to know how to use the law of attraction to get on Rule Zero, check out my course. All right. I did a live stream on this though. So check that out. I talk all about like how I planned that out, how I made it a goal, and how I work towards that goal. If you want to know, there's a live stream on it. So go to my YouTube channel, click on the lives tab. It's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 down by now. Okay, we're still talking about alpha traits. Dominant behavior, being dominant, right? One thing that I learned after getting back on the dating circuit the second time, what got me into this space, right? I got back on the dating circuit. I was still doing like the same beta shit that I'd always done, but I was in better shape this time. So I was able to get dates. I was able to hook up with chicks, but I wasn't able to keep chicks around. That was my problem, right? My goal was always to I like long-term relationships, right? So I was always like, how do I get a girlfriend? Which is a beta trait. But I do like long-term relationships. Knowing where your sex is coming from every night, it's a good feeling, right? It's you got that certainty. um but one of the things that I realized that I was doing wrong, especially in the bedroom for pretty much my whole life, was I was wanting girls to initiate sex more, and I wanted to make love to them, and I wanted to make sure that they were getting their needs met and all this kind of shit, right? That's all like super beta behavior, and chicks, it actually turns chicks off, right? Like chicks do want to get their needs met, but but if you're dominant in the bedroom and you make it about like your enjoyment, then like that's what really turns them on, right? And so that I had to learn that. I had to learn that you just sort of like you throw them in the position that you want, you just sort of do what you want. Uh Man, that just really turns chicks on. Like pull their hair a little bit, right? Now you could go full BDSM if you want. It depends on the chick, but most chicks like that dominance at least, right? They like, at the bare minimum, they like when you pull their hair a little bit. They like the slap on the ass. They like when you whisper in their ear and tell them like dirty shit. They like it when you say, "This is my pussy." Right? Or you like me fucking you, right? Stuff like that. Chicks actually are like that really turns them on, that dominant behavior, even if they don't respond to it, right? If you whisper that in their ear, they internalize that shit. And man, they just that really gets them turned on. So that's an alpha trait, right? The dominant behavior. Take calculated risks. Guys that take calculated risks, like riding a motorcycle, for instance, right? There's a reason why chicks dig guys that ride motorcycles, is because that's a risk. I mean, you're literally, you have no protection out there. People die all the time in motorcycle wrecks because you're not protected. But you're taking a risk, you're taking that sort of exhilarating risk, but you're being calculated about it, right? Like you're wearing leathers, you're putting a helmet on or something. At least you should be. I recommend that as a motorcyclist. But you're still taking a risk out there, and that kind of risk taking turns chicks on. We talked about. You mean Sterling Cooper? Hold on. You mean Sterling Cooper? Rich is not a porn star. Yeah, man. They are attracted to to you sort of claiming them. Yeah, that's for sure. Dude, I did take a risk by making this podcast, because I'm using my real name. This is me. I'm not using a pseudonym, so it's actually a big risk. I didn't think that through. So, actually, it's funny because I did, like, while I was doing this podcast, I was dating people, and they would come over and they would see the podcast equipment. So like I couldn't hide the podcast from people. So what I had to do was just fucking own it, and not apologize for it, not try to explain it away or anything like that. Nurse Chicks like actually found the podcast, found my TikToks, and it was funny. I've told this story before, but I think it was like on our, I don't know, third or fourth date. She's over at my place here, and she just brings up like hypergamy, right? And no one brings up hypergamy in just normal conversation. I was just like, what the fuck? So the next day I put out a TikTok saying, you ever get that that sneaking suspicion that someone's internet stalking you because they bring up things that are just oddly specific. And yeah, like 30 minutes later, I get a text from her going, "All right, I got a confession." she was internet stalking me. She found my podcast and stuff like that. But I just, just own this shit. And she actually likes it. She's very supportive of this stuff. All right. So let's talk about some beta traits. Oh, good. We're 40 minutes in. I've been able to vamp long enough. Is it against one of Rollo's rules? I know that Ryan makes jokes about nurses all the time. And I haven't read Rational Male in quite some time. I've only read it once. So I need to go. I actually bought a paperback version of it because I've listened to it on audio, but I haven't actually like sat down with the paperback version. And so one of my goals this year is to read more paperbacks. And so I bought Rational Male. So is that in there? Is that in the first Rational Male? Or is that just something he says on his podcast? But I know Ryan talks about dating nurses because nurses are all slooty sleuts. And you know what? God bless them. Actually, yeah, nurses are a lot of them are, they definitely they definitely fit that mold. You know what I mean? They know anatomy. Let's just say, they know anatomy. All right, let's talk about some beta traits. We talked about some of these already, but being caring and nurturing, right? That sort of thing initiates that oxytocin response in her. That's a beta trait, but these are attractive beta traits. Okay. There are absolutely unattractive beta traits. There's also unattractive alpha traits, So these are attractive beta traits. Oh, come on. I'm not saying that. I'm not bringing that up there. That's not cool. So attractive beta traits, caring and nurturing. Another one is being a good listener. And I talked about Corey Wayne early on in the podcast, right? So Corey in his book, How to Be a 3% Man, talks about how to be masculine, how to be alpha and have alpha body language and whatever. But when you get further on the book, near the end of the book, he talks about being in a long-term relationship and sort of maintaining that relationship. And one of the things that he says is when she feels heard and understood, that's when the legs open, right? Oh, here we go. Come on, man. There you go. I didn't say all of them are attractive. I mean, look, there's some nuance to some of this. You guys need to understand there's some nuance to some of this, right? An alpha trait might be that you beat the shit out of your wife, right? That's something maybe an alpha does. I don't know. That's not attractive. Nobody wants that. Someone who's like ultra aggressive, that sometimes like that might turn a chick on if you're like beating up other dudes. But if you're like using that behavior in your everyday life, you're doing that to everybody, you're beating your kids, like that's unattractive. Can we all agree on that? All right. So some attractive beta traits. Being a good listener, going back to Corey Wayne. So Corey Wayne says, when she feels heard and understood, that's when the legs open, right? So one of the things that he teaches is basically when your woman's like upset, you need to get to the bottom of like the root cause of what it is and get her to get it off her chest and sort of repeat it back to her, right? Like, oh, okay, I understand. You're upset because of blah, 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 And when she feels like you really, truly understand why she's upset, then she's like, oh, I feel so good. Thank you for talking to me. You're such a good listener. And then that's what really will initiate that oxytocin response in her. Being a good provider, right? Someone that can budget, get their bills paid, that's beta behavior, but that's also called being an adult, right? But those types of traits, like if you have your money in order, you don't have debt problems, that kind of stuff. Chicks actually like that, right? They're like, oh, this guy's good with money, but that's attractive beta behavior. If you have a good job, right? Good career, good solid, career, and you got ambitions, like you're working towards the next level and stuff like that. That's beta behavior, but but it's attractive. Like that chicks care about that kind of thing. But that's one of the reasons why I tweeted out, I think it was yesterday, saying like unpopular opinion, but guys that flash their money, right? That's actually beta behavior, because you're basically like telling everyone, hey, look what a good provider I am. Look at how much money I make. Like it really attracts gold diggers. It attracts women that only care about the money, doesn't really make them want to have sex with you. They makes them want to use you for your money. So like if you're an attractive guy, you don't need to do that, right? That's why a lot of us guys are always saying like keep like first dates low investment. Take them out for drinks, take them out for I don't recommend coffee, but some people say coffee dates. You want them to be interested in you, not how much money you make. If you lead with your wallet, right? So I had this guy on Friday who's a good friend of mine. I'm not trying to shit on him, but he's a very wealthy dude, and he like buys chicks cars and stuff, right? He totally is that guy that leads with his wallet. And so chicks, he's like the types of chicks that he attracts are gold digger types. But you don't need to do that, right? If you lead with strong masculine presence, if you're a fun guy, if you make them laugh, that kind of stuff, you're good with banter, you're good with creating that positive emotional attention. You don't need a lot of money. What happened to the good old days when all you needed was a penis and a job? If only it was that easy. Being a good cook. Being a good cook is actually an attractive beta trait, which is funny. Not to shit on Ryan at all, because Ryan Stone is I actually really like Ryan a lot. I learned a lot from him. In fact, that like he talks about Athol Kay quite a bit. But Ryan has his cooking videos. He's got cooking videos where he's cooking, French toast or whatever, but telling you to have a scorched earth policy, But being able to cook well is actually, kind of a comforting beta trait. Hey guys, support the show. Send a super chat. So what other beta traits do you think are attractive? Why don't you guys sound off in the comments here a little bit? Fresh and Fit says you should never cook for a girl unless you're a professional chef. I hear that. You know what? One thing that I'll do is so Nurse Chick, she does like all the cooking when she comes over here. She does all the cooking. She won't even let me get off the couch. She brings me drinks and stuff while she's cooking. She's like, "Oh, can I get you anything?" Stuff like that. She's real sweet that way. But if something needs to be grilled outside, right? That's my job. Like I won't let her do that. That's me. I'm grilling. All right. Yeah, the downside of being a good cook is you put on weight. One good thing about Nurse Chick is that she's a fitness competitor. So for the most part, she and I are both on keto. Although right now she's getting ready for her first competition of the year, which I think is in August. So her trainer has her on a different diet. So she's got to eat certain carbs and stuff like that for bodybuilding. So she's sort of making her own food and then still just making me keto. That helps keep the weight off a little bit. How did you meet a nurse? Let's see here. How did I meet a nurse? I imagine a hospital is an inconvenient place. Yeah. I actually met her on a dating app, guys. I met her on match.com to be honest. I'm a big proponent of dating apps. You know, a lot of guys shit on dating apps. They pull out statistics from 10 years ago or whatever from OkCupid, and they're like, oh, well, all the women are going for the same, 5 to 20% of guys on dating apps. Like, yeah, Yeah, that's true. But it's not that hard to get into that upper percentile and learn how to strategically use a dating app. That's where a lot of guys just they don't understand that there's a strategy behind it, and it works. It's very effective, and a lot of it is not spending a lot of time on the app. Right? You close for dates quickly, you get to rejection quickly, and you move on quick. Right? Like that's a lot of it. And then otherwise, it's like having good pictures and having a decent bio. In fact, I might actually do I actually did. I did an episode on a live stream on online dating a couple of weeks ago. So go check that out. I talk about a lot of this type of stuff. So yeah, I met nurse chick on Match.com, and she was at the time she was working graveyard shifts. She was a labor and delivery nurse. And so when I invited her for drinks, she couldn't go out for drinks because she works in the evening. So we had to go on a coffee date. And I was like, fuck. All right, fine. So I went on a coffee date, and everything went smooth. We met at a Starbucks, and went outside, did everything that I do on alcohol drinks or alcohol dates rather. And I bantered with her, poked fun at her, let her do 80% of the talking, which is really fucking hard because nurse chick doesn't talk. Let her do most of the talking. And then when I walked her to her car, and I went in for a kiss. And then after that, she was just like, she was hooked. And the funny thing is that happened to be on WrestleMania Sunday. This was a couple of years ago. It was WrestleMania Sunday. So I was all content with meeting her for coffee in the day and then going home and getting ready to watch WrestleMania. Like that was my evening. I was going to go home and watch WrestleMania. And so I get a text from her later saying, hey, I got low census, which means that she didn't have to go into for work because they didn't have enough patients. So she's like, so what are you up to? Right. And chicks are very chicks will put themselves in your orbit. You just have to recognize it, right? You have to understand when a chick is making themselves available to you, right? So you have to take that as a sign that she wants you to ask her on a date. So what I did was I said, well, I'm watching WrestleMania tonight. You're welcome to come over to my house and join me. I live an hour from her. So I knew that if she was going to drive an hour to come see me at my house to watch WrestleMania, that it was going to be on. Like that, chicks don't normally do that. And she was like, ooh, WrestleMania? I've never seen that before. I'd love to. And she drove an hour over to my house to watch WrestleMania with me that same day. And yeah, we ended up with the indoor Olympics, as Corey Wayne says, and the rest is history. What's that? I literally, let's see here. I had a chick literally hover over me once. I thought I was about to be attacked. Some are a little more obvious than others. All right. We are almost at an hour. Look at that. I actually made it almost a complete hour talking about alpha and beta traits. And I say this every episode. I'm like, this might be a short episode. And then I'm able to talk about it. It really helps too when you guys sound off in the chat. It actually makes this go by. It's fun to talk to you guys. Man cook meat over fire. Man make fire. Man cook meat over fire. Yeah. Guys, support the show. Send a super chat. It could be as little as $1. Helps out with these things. All right. Well, I don't have any super chats. So I think I will sign off here. You guys, I forgot to tell you guys, if you do send super chats, I do have these sound drops, right? I got a couple of them now, right? I've got this one. And then I've got this one. This one's my favorite.
I was just going to say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
This guy fucks. And then I got this one here. If you send a super chat. Oh, let's see here. I've got this one here.
Who's the master?
Who's the master? Yeah, if you guys ever tune into one of these live streams, I do these on Wednesday and Friday mornings. I'll play that for you if you send a super chat. Why do I disagree with the other Paul's methods? I don't disagree with the other Paul's methods. Do I? I actually have a lot of respect for, if you're talking about apex mindset, Paul, like I learned a lot from that guy. That guy's a fucking genius. Him and Ryan Stone are like super underrated in this space. Absolutely. That's right. The Last Dragon. If you guys didn't know, I got I earned my master life coach certification. So now I am the master. All right, guys, let's wrap up here. Make sure to tune in Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm actually going to be talking a little bit more about my Batman origin story. I've talked a little bit about it in the past. You know, I've given like the Cliff's Notes version, but I've never really done like a whole episode on like how I got into the space, like my divorce, my relationship with my ex-wife, the relationship with like of the girl that actually got me into the space. Because believe it or not, when I got divorced, that really wasn't my red pill moment. It wasn't until after my breakup, the second longest relationship I had ever been in, that I was like, I need to fix my shit. Something's going wrong. And so I'm going to talk a lot about that on Friday's episode. So if you want to get the dirt, you want to get my backstory, my Batman origin story, tune in for that. That's going to be Friday, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Other than that, be sure to catch me on my socials, right? I post pretty much every day. You know, follow me on Instagram. I'm really trying to build up my Instagram account. So if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, all the links are in the description. But I post videos every day. I try to post at least 3 times a day. And then on Instagram, also, I have the ability to post stories and stuff too, which I really like doing. I'm also on Twitter quite a bit. So I send tweets out occasionally. I'm very active on Twitter. If I try to respond to everybody as much as I can on all these social media platforms. So give me a follow there. If you have questions about anything, send me a DM on Instagram. That's probably the best place. But if you have questions about, like my Patreon, which I'm encouraging people to join, and I'll talk about that in a second here. But like, if you have questions about it, right? If you want to know, you want more information about this, you want more information on like my Law of Attraction course, DM me. All right. I'm pretty responsive on Instagram. So shoot me a DM and I'll answer your questions. No problem. But get on the Patreon. You can join for as little as $10. $10 gets you on the beer credits at the end of Monday's episodes. And then also you get all of my main podcasts, my Monday's episodes. You get those ad free with Patreon. And during the month of February, anybody that joins Patreon, including existing members, they get the Law of Attraction course for half off. So if you go to loa.comeonmanpod.com, the link's in the description as well for that. You can get that for half off if you just join the Patreon, even if you just, join level 1. I'm going to be putting out a coupon code right after this for all the Patreon members. So get on that, but that's only good for the month of February. So if you've been thinking about it, but you're like, the price is too high, this is a good time to get on that. And then finally, we have my email list.comeonmanpod.com. If you join the email list, you get these free stickers, right? So if you get on the list, what I do is like maybe once a week, I will shoot an email out to new members and saying, hey, reply to this email with your good mailing address. I'm not keeping your mailing addresses. I'm just using it to mail you your stickers. So if you get that email, reply back, send me a good mailing address, and I'll mail you stickers, postage paid. And But if you don't get that email from me, like DM me on Instagram, because I think a lot of people, their email is going to the spam folder. So let me know about that. Also, if you like these designs, right, you can get these on a t-shirt or a mug or a hoodie. That's another way you can support the show. Down below the video on YouTube is products from my T Public store. You can buy those right there on YouTube if you want to get like a red pilled hoodie or something. Do that, or if you go to merch.comeonmanpod.com, you can see all the different products that are available. It's basically all that design on like everything: t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, all that kind of stuff. So all that kind of stuff will support the show. Again, Law of Attraction course, half off if you join the Patreon. It's really a course on mindset, right? I take all the chick crack out of it. There's no genies granting wishes. It's really about reprogramming your subconscious mind so that you can achieve the goals that you don't believe that you can achieve now, right? Like let's say I have a guy that's going to be joining the Patreon, right? One of the things that he can't seem to do is get into a stable career and make the life for himself that he wants, right? So he's basically been like, sort of letting life happen to him since he was 18, couch surfing. He's ended up in homeless shelters a lot. Right now he's living with at some guy's house. Some guy's like basically giving him a room to stay in. And he wants to unfuck his life, but for whatever reason, he just can't get out of his own way. That a lot of that is your paradigm. That's your mind keeping you where you're at. And you can reprogram that to change your circumstances. You can actually make it so that you're writing your own story in your life, and life doesn't just happen to you. And it's not magic. Okay. It's all, the whole course is all psychology based. So check that out, and you can get it for half off if you join the Patreon for the month of February. I think that's all we have. Let's see here. Got a couple of comments here. Oh, Valerie. Send a reminder next time. Every morning on Wednesday and Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm right here. Set your alarm. All right. I think that's it. So we'll see you guys on Friday. Remember, tune in for my Batman origin story. Otherwise, we'll see you on social media.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.